Hi guys, it's been a minute since I've gone live here on Instagram, but I wanted to talk with you a little bit about calcium. So I showed you yesterday what it looks like when calcium builds up on different parts of your bathtub if you have hard water. So there's a lot of things that impact calcium and it being raised in the tissue. Namely, hard water is one. Copper toxicity will push calcium out of the bone. Any sort of heavy metal will push calcium out of the bone. Certain medications can do that. The other thing that can impact calcium would be if you are like I said, copper toxic, heavy metals, any of those things, stress. A lot of trauma or stress can also push calcium out of the bone as a defense mechanism for your body. So once the calcium is out of your bone, and there's a huge problem with high levels of calcium in our nation, and we don't really understand it, and there's really been a lot of misinformation about calcium, like you need to take calcium supplements and understanding osteoporosis and calcium, but really osteoporosis is a loss of calcium from the bone, and more than likely it's been pushed out into the soft tissue, which means it's in your joints, it's in your organs, and it's coming out in your hair, which can cause you to rapidly gray sooner than later, which is really a loss of calcium and zinc from the cell. So what happens is every mineral is connected, right? So this raising of calcium will cause more magnesium to be needed to balance, because calcium and magnesium kind of work together. So magnesium will be needed to support that calcium. And what happens is the body suppresses the adrenals to compensate for the high calcium to protect the magnesium and to retain it. And that's a huge problem. So many people know about adrenal fatigue and they know about adrenal issues, but they don't understand the direct connection with their minerals. And this is that. Multiple things. One, copper can really push on the adrenals and be like an excitotoxin. But the other main thing is the magnesium need to counteract the calcium that's built up and the burden that puts on the adrenals. So adrenal suppression causes a continual loss of sodium and potassium from the urine. Okay, so when your adrenals are suppressed like that and they're being protective of the magnesium and the whole cascade's going on, now starts to protect your sodium and potassium, and you just lose it continually through your pee. And sodium and potassium is supposed to be stored in your cells. These are essential minerals that are needed for your heart function, for your thyroid function. So just to start, sodium and chloride really help you produce stomach acid. And you need stomach acid, one, to be a protection against bacterial and viral infections in the gut, but also to help you chelate those minerals from your food and protect your gut. So you need to be able to absorb those minerals. So even if you're eating really healthy foods, if you don't have good stomach acid levels, because you don't have a good amount of sodium, because of the connection with the adrenals, because of the magnesium, because of the high calcium, you cannot produce your own stomach acid, and you're not going to be able to digest those good foods and protect yourself. So this begins to lead to issues with acid reflux, digestive issues, the ability for your cells not to get amino acids and glucose into the cells, except for the fat cells. The fat cells will continue to get the glucose, but the other cells are really starving because they're not being able to carry those amino acids and those things and have that cellular exchange. So this is a huge problem. This can really lead to people really overeating as well, because the cells are really starving for glucose and amino acids, and that leads to food cravings and reasons why you continue to eat even after you've eaten, because you haven't gotten into your cells. The same way with hydration. If you're drinking water that has not have mineral rich water that has minerals in it, it's not getting into the cells and you're just peeing it out. The same with your food. If you're not able to carry the food into the cell, then you're not really getting the benefits and you continue to be hungry. And this is reasons why people can overeat. So when the potassium's depleted because of the magnesium also pressing on the adrenals and suppressing that and causing the potassium to be lost through the pee, it really affects your thyroid. So we'll start to see people with potassium depletion have really slow thyroids and really slow metabolisms. Even when their blood tests say it's normal, we can see an indication of what's happening ahead of the pack in the HTMA. And so we really need to restore mineral balance to help those cells to stop always looking for more food, because what's going to happen next is a cascade of metabolic dysfunction, okay? And we know what those things are: heart disease, obesity, migraines, anxiety, hypertension, insulin issues, And everybody really has a varying degree of mineral bankruptcy, and our job is to figure out what your bankruptcy is through testing and getting specific on balancing. Okay, so it's not enough just to guess and take calcium supplements, because guess what? If you have a calcium shell or you have this excess calcium in the tissue and you continue to take supplemental vitamin D and calcium, you're going to exacerbate the problem and continue to push out the sodium and continue to push out the potassium, which is really a huge problem. So when you're having issues with weight loss, when you're having issues with overeating, when you're having issues with your adrenals, you have to look upstream. Okay, and so many people miss this. So many people don't understand that minerals are really the foundation of your health, and you need to find out what is exacerbating mineral loss and the calcium to be out of the bone, namely copper toxicity, namely heavy metal toxicity, or really crappy water, and you need to fix it at that level, and then we need to balance the minerals so your body can dump the heavy metals that it's accumulated. So this was just a really fast way of explaining, but HTMA is crucial, and it really should be the first test that you do for your health when you're having issues. So you can really get sidetracked and go down all these lines with your hormones and with your gut, all important. But if you do a GI map and you spend that money and you do a protocol in your gut and you do not solve the issue with your calcium, your sodium and potassium, and your magnesium, you're going to continue to have prevalent gut infections because of the lack of the body to give you protection through stomach acid, and understanding that heavy metals like copper and mercury and aluminum cause bacteria, viruses, and things to overrun the gut. So it's all connected, and the most important place, in my opinion, is to start at the basis of the foundation of your health, which is minerals, and work your way up. Okay, so this is why it's really important to test and get specific, and if you're going to spend money, you need to spend money on HTMA first and get those answers, and then your body and your health will begin to flourish as we get things into balance. But this is not a fast fix. Okay, this is not a fast fix. It's not going to be you do one HTMA test, you balance your minerals, and you're good to go. The body's going to take time. It's going to take time to balance, to move into the place where you can start to detox metals, and it's really a process. And you know what? Here I am a few years into this process, and I still have copper dumps to happen because I was on the birth control pill for 10 years, okay? And that copper accumulated in me for a long time. And I have mercury toxicity to boot from mercury fillings, etc., etc. That's not just going to go away fast, and I'm going to have periods of time where I'm dumping, I need to balance more, and it just flows like that. So it's really important to work with someone who knows how to test you, knows what to look like, knows what to look for in your HTMA, and really start at the foundation of that instead of jumping ahead and doing all these other tests. So let's see. Lil Bortensons. I did a GI map and addressed the adrenals and everything except HTMA. Okay, so you're going backwards, right? You need to start at the root because the HTMA is important. But if you don't test the minerals first and you do all your GeoMap protocols, that's awesome, but you're going to be back in with gut issues in a year or so from then because everything's just going to repopulate. This is why Candida and all these things continue to overgrow, is because the metals are driving them in the gut. How often would you HTMA when trying to balance and fix issues? So I have my clients test every 4 months. You really shouldn't do a mineral protocol longer than that because minerals change, and we need to keep an eye on what's happening. So I want to watch my clients and see what's happening. This is why I don't typically do one-off testing, because I'm going to test you once and give you a list of things, send you on your way, and then you're going to do that forever. That's not safe. So we need to be looking every 4 months. Now, if you're what is called a 4 lows pattern, which means you're really depleted in the main 4 macro minerals of calcium, magnesium, sodium, potassium, you're bottomed out. These are the people who come to me really sick. They usually have an underlying issue with mold, Lyme, something deeper in their gut, Blastus hominis, a serious parasite, bacterial infection, those things that are driving their 4 lows. They need to test every 3 months because we really need to work slow with them because they're so depleted and sick that we need to do a combination of helping them get rid of what the infection is in the gut and also balancing the minerals at the same time. So typically I do HTMA first and I give mineral support, and then what I do is I go back and I test the GI map at the same time, and then we start to address those things that have crept up in that place. SIBO forever. Let's see. what was the other question? I've been addressing SIBO forever. Yeah, so SIBO is always rooted in other things, right? Your small intestine is meant to do its job, and if something's keeping it from sweeping the complex, the sweeping complex that's supposed to happen 40 or 50 times a day, you have to look at what's causing that to happen. Typically there's a parasite or something else that has impacted your body, your small intestine's ability to make itself sterile. And oftentimes I see SIBO connection with H. pylori, which also keeps you from being able to absorb your minerals properly. So if I have a client who comes to me and we do the GI map and they've got H. pylori, I balance their minerals while we're working, but I also work on the H. pylori right away because we need to get rid of that so that your body can do mineral absorption, which is one of the reasons why I do transdermal methods of mineral through the foot baths that I posted on my stories yesterday. If you didn't see that, go look. That's a great way to get minerals into your bloodstream, into the cell, without having to go through the digestive system or the liver. Is mineral balancing as a vegetarian impossible? So listen, here's the deal. I'm not here to criticize anybody's food choices, but you have to know as a vegetarian, there's going to be an impact on your minerals. So a lot of vegan and vegetarian foods are heavy copper focused foods, right? So you've got lots of avocado, that's a high copper food. You've got lots of spirulina, you've got lots of cacao, you've got lots of sesame seeds. All those foods are really high copper. So if you're continuing to put that in your body all the time, copper and zinc also work on a balancing scale. And you're not putting a lot of zinc in your body, which is really only derived from animal protein. Okay, and again, zinc is not something that you can make. It's something you need to ingest. So if you're not having a really great form of zinc levels to combat all that copper, you're going to have an issue with copper. And also digestion is just really hard on plant food. So if you get in the position where you've got this copper toxicity from the foods you're eating, or if you've got birth control or any of those, now it's going to impact the minerals, which is going to lead to the stomach acid issue that I just spoke about a couple minutes before. So it's not impossible, but I would really encourage you to get your HTMA tested and see what the heck is impacting in your body from eating that style of diet, and at least support yourself. Okay, so you got to really support yourself. Now, I wouldn't suggest you go dump zinc in your body, because zinc is one of those minerals that you can't just take a bunch of it if you don't know your copper status, and not everybody does well with it. It can make people pretty sick. So you have to do it really on a slow basis. Make sure you test and figure out what's going on before you attempt to do any of that. So a vegetarian diet is going to impact the copper toxicity. It is going to impact the gut on the harshness of it. And you really need to be aware of that and figure out what you can maybe bend in or add in or tweak to help yourself balance a little bit better. Is there any other questions while you guys are watching? So I basically just a huge explanation of how excess calcium out of the bone in the tissue really slows down the thyroid, slows down the metabolism, keeps you from being able to absorb your minerals properly, and leading to overeating and cellular starvation, okay, which is one of those reasons why we crave foods and we keep wanting to eat even past what we've put in our body. So when your food is mineral rich and when that mineral is getting into your body properly, because it's one thing to eat the right things, it's another thing to absorb them, you're not going to be as hungry because your cells are getting what they need. And this is important with water too. So an easy tip to get started, if you can't afford to work with me right now, you can't afford to get your hair tested, can't afford to do anything like that, 2 easy things you can do. Water. Okay, so your water source really is super important. And if you're going to change anything, if you can't afford to buy supplements or whatever, you can change your water. So you need to make sure that you don't have hard water in your home that's impacting your calcium levels. If you do, you can put a water softener in your home that's either sodium or potassium based. Step number 1. 2, making sure your water isn't toxic. So I get my water from a spring in Oregon in glass. I've got a link in my highlights all about water. You guys can look through and watch what I'm saying. So I soften the water in my shower. I filter the water in my shower for heavy metals and all those contaminants. And then I drink spring mineral rich water that has minerals that have been from the earth that are really available in the water so that they feed my cells. And it makes a huge difference when you drink clean mineral rich water with no toxicity. So if you're not filtering your water, step number 1, You can go in the highlights. I talk about all sorts of filters, what I think are best. Berkey, Pure Effects, 2 great companies. They're not going to soften your water though. Okay, so a water filter is not the same as a water softener. So if you have hard water, you got to understand that there's a difference there, and a filter isn't going to do anything for softening, and you need to do a softener on top of a water filter. Okay, and then this also impacts what you cook with, what you wash with, what gets absorbed in your skin. So I would start with water. So that's thing number 1. Thing number 2 is magnesium. Most people are depleted in magnesium because it's one of those minerals that just is impacted by everything else. So if you can't afford to get an HTMA test done right now, you could start with magnesium. And an easy way to get magnesium in the body is from foot baths, and you want to use magnesium flakes, not Epsom salts. Because Epsom salts are great for detox, but they don't really get carried into the cell with impacting tissue magnesium levels. And if you use magnesium flakes, you also want to use sodium bicarbonate or baking soda, which helps carry the magnesium into the mitochondria. So I have a whole foot bath little story also in my highlights. You can go watch that. Some of the other minerals I add into the foot baths really are dependent on your individual HTMA results, like boron, etc. But that's one place you can start. Is I'm pretty confident in encouraging people to try magnesium. But again, magnesium has cofactors to carry it in the cell and keep it there, which one is B6 and one is boron. So if you're low in both of those, you also need to impact your supplementing with that. And this is why testing is important, because you can't guess. You need to know exactly what's impacting. So the liquid transdermal magnesium, I do like Ease magnesium spray. That's a great option if you want to put it on your inner arms or on your feet. Those are great things to do. And then I do an internal magnesium supplement as well, and my favorite brand is called Jigsaw. It's a time-release magnesium. It's a very absorbable form of magnesium. I get the B free because I have my B supplements in other forms, the B6, to carry it in. But a lot of magnesium is just really bad forms like magnesium citrate, which really does a number on your gut and really isn't bioavailable to your body or stays in the cell. So again, it's one thing to put magnesium in the body, it's another thing to carry it into the cell and to keep it there. And remember, magnesium is a mineral that is intercellular, which means it's not going to be seen on blood work, whether you're depleted. It can only be seen in the cells. And an HTMA is really a biopsy. It's a biopsy of your body without having to be invasive, of letting us know what's happening in the cellular level. So I did mention the shower filters a little bit earlier, and I have a whole story in my highlights all about water. Go look at that. I have a whole IGTV on water filters for your home. You can go watch that and you'll get some more information. So I hope this was helpful. And I just wanted to give a quick little explanation about how calcium impacts the rest of your body. And also you need to know vitamin D raises tissue calcium and depletes potassium. So one of the reasons why your body lowers D, and this is the thing, is when people go for blood work, right? Doctors aren't looking at the cells typically. They're looking at the blood. And one of the main things they see is, well, everything looks great except you're low in vitamin D. And then they say you should supplement with vitamin D. So people think, oh, I got to supplement with vitamin D, and they go out and do that. But they don't understand that that is a signal from the body that something's wrong. Even if you're in the sunlight and you're being exposed to vitamin D, or you're taking vitamin D, the body isn't going to raise that level of vitamin D because it's protecting you. Because when vitamin D raises, it impacts calcium to go up and it lowers potassium. And both of those minerals are crucial for your survival. You have to have potassium in your body for your heart, and same with calcium. So the body overrides the D and says, you know what, we need to protect you, and we're gonna keep this D at a minimum because these minerals are more important. So you're actually exacerbating a problem instead of addressing the root of the problem, which is what is causing the calcium to be pushed out to lower the D in the first place. So this is why really getting clear on what's happening in your body is important, and blind supplementing is foolish because everything you take impacts everything else in your body. Yeah. So if you've got issues with digestion, magnesium citrate can definitely help you poop. But if you need magnesium to help you poop, you've got a bigger problem. And we need to talk about that, about what's going on with your digestion, because you shouldn't be needing that to go to the bathroom. And there's other things happening in the body causing you to have that issue. And again, we need to address that instead of just giving you a Band-Aid of a really harsh mineral that's causing you to go to the bathroom. Okay, so I hope this was helpful. And if you're interested in working with me, you can book a free call if you go to sozomethod.com/call, and I'll get on the phone with you for free to talk about your individual situation and about my program and about working with me and whether or not it's a good fit. So I have a little questionnaire for you to fill out, but you can go to sozomethod.com/call and book a free call with me, and you and I can talk about you and how I can help. All right, have a good rest of your day.